Good morning. It's 6:28 a.m. on Wednesday? Is that right? Is it really Wednesday? It is. July 27th, 2016. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So I do seem to have come down with a little bit of a summer cold. It's not too bad, but it's not great. That's fine. I'm still going to work. Especially because, as I've discussed many times, I record these videos first thing in the morning, and so it is not necessarily the time of day that I am most alert. So I frequently, even when I may seem to not feel well in the morning, I frequently rally by the time I've had a little more caffeine and take a shower and get dressed and I'm actually out into the world. I'm like, oh, right, yeah, I feel fine now. So just a little insight there as to the things that I do when it's not first thing in the morning. What was I talking about? One of the things that I thought I would talk about a little bit today is continuity, particularly when it comes to comic books and their associated adaptations. That was kind of fun to say. Comic book continuity is something that is, to my mind, it's the great double-edged sword of the entire medium. Because when it's good, there's nothing else like it, and it's just so great. But it's also frequently a burden and confusing and frustrating, and it makes people crazy like nobody's business. For example, one of the things that I noticed yesterday that had me thinking about this was a conversation on Facebook about how they've announced that Brie Larson has been cast as Carol Danvers for the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. I'm very excited. I had originally thought they were going to go with someone a little older just due to the nature of the character. But hey, that's fine. I liked her a lot in Room and in a few other things I've seen her in. So I think she could be great. So I'm looking forward to that movie. But here's the thing, is that Carol Danvers has a long and complicated history in the comic books. Before she took on her current mantle of Captain Marvel, she was Miss Marvel, and originally named Marvel as a connection to her relationship with the original Captain Marvel, who is literally an alien named, I kid you not, Marvel. Because that's when her character was created, is back when that would fly. So in any case, she's been around for a while, and she's been on the Avengers as Ms. Marvel, and has a long history. And one of the things that is in her history is that there was an extremely gross storyline that I believe, I want to say it was in the 80s at some point, maybe early 90s, where just a kind of jaw-droppingly ill-conceived storyline had her essentially mind-controlled into a relationship where she was basically made to marry a bad guy and then have a baby by him, who weirdly the baby turned into another version of the same bad guy. And when I say that, I don't mean like with Green Goblin, where, the original Norman Osborn's son Harry also took on the mantle. I mean like the baby literally like became the father. It's really strange, and it's kind of awful and gross and upsetting that she is essentially mind controlled into this whole relationship. And while she is mind controlled into being in love, and the other Avengers know that, they basically say, oh, well, she seems happy. Best of luck to you. It's really bizarre. It's a terrible, terrible story, and it's a perfect example of how complicated continuity can be, because what do you do with that now? If you want to tell more stories about Carol Danvers, like, do you have to deal with that? Or is it better to maybe just try to ignore it completely? My personal instinct is that it's better to just say, nope, we pretend that didn't happen. And if someone wants to be a uber nerd, they can look up to discover, hey, someone wrote a really stupid story about this character a long time ago, but who cares? But at the same time, you could, at the same time you say, who cares about a story that was written all that time ago? Like, but people are still obsessed with the whole Gwen Stacy's death arc in Spider-Man, and that was older by a lot. And so it's kind of it's a sticky wicket is what it is. It's a difficult thing, because the continuity and the crossovers, on the one hand, are part of what make comic books great when they're really working. But it can also be just this tremendous burden, which is why the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for example, has really, made strides towards being its own continuity and not beholden to what happened in the comics. But of course, the more of those they make, the more of their own continuity they have to follow. So, they make a decision about the world building that makes sense for Iron Man, but now they have to stick with it for Thor and for Captain Marvel and for Guardians of the Galaxy and for Daredevil and blah, 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 blah. And so it's an interesting question. I don't have an answer as much as to just make the observation that it's complicated. Kind of interesting, though, I think. Anyway, I got to go to work. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow for 5 more minutes. How about that, huh? Talking about continuity, right?